This is Lawrence Wagner, Senior Hydronics Engineer for Anderson Radiant Heating, to provide the Eichler homeowner with important information about the radiant heating system. This video will focus on observed existing and current violations of boiler code requirements, improper installation procedures, and compliance with the manufacturer's recommendations. As an Eichler homeowner, refer to the following items to ensure that the mechanical equipment is being installed and serviced correctly by your contractor. A failure to do so can lead to a hazardous and dangerous condition at your home. Please note the following manufacturer's warning. It states, read all instructions before installing. Failure to follow instructions in the proper order can cause severe personal injury, death, or substantial property damage. Every day we observe mechanical equipment that has been installed by homeowners, unlicensed or inexperienced contractors who either choose to ignore or simply do not understand the proper methods and procedures. Look at the following Buderus boiler installed by a licensed C36 plumbing contractor a few months ago in an Eichler home. This is a typical representation of what we see every day in the field. It may look okay, but there are several violations of the codes and the manufacturer's recommendations. It is a cast iron boiler not recommended for a heat source in the Eichler home. It was wired for constant operation, meaning that the boiler would always be hot and using energy even when the house was not calling for heat. It fails to meet the 90% energy standards required by the state. The pump model is too small for this Eichler. Flue piping clearance of Class A venting to combustible surfaces is not to code. The insulation is poorly installed with gaps. The pressure relief discharge is improperly sized when connecting the water heater and boiler together. The gas line is marginally sized for the BTU output of the boiler. The boiler was not secured for earthquake. The boiler was not permitted and inspected by the city. It is my estimate that half of older and newer installations do not meet all current building code requirements for the state and local cities and the manufacturer's recommendations. Failure to follow the manufacturer recommendations, the codes, and the best accepted industry installation standards leads to dangerous operating conditions, premature equipment failure, and poor system performance. It is our experience that mechanical contractors licensed in the C4 category perform better work than plumbers with a C36 license. But please don't get me wrong, for there are some C36 contractors who perform excellent work, but they are limited. In any case, only experienced licensed contractors should be working on your home's radiant heating system. The following standards apply to both older and newer installations. They are some of what we consider critical mistakes we observe daily, which affect overall system function and safety in the Eichler home. Insufficient combustion air. For atmospheric boilers, refer to the accepted mechanical code book for the square inches of surface required per BTU, when drawing air from inside of a building or outside of a building, and to the current codes and manufacturer's installation manual for high-efficiency condensing boilers. Insufficient gas line sizing. Refer to the current mechanical code book for the proper size and length of gas lines for the BTU needed by the boiler. This includes flex connectors and installation of drip legs on all gas appliances. You must consider all the gas requirements being used at the home for proper sizing. Insufficient clearances to combustible materials. This is clearly marked on the boiler appliance or in the installation manual. Insufficient clearances to combustible surfaces for Class A and B vent materials. Refer to the mechanical codes. Improper plumbing of the radiant panel supply and return mains, with it often being reversed. This prevents the home from heating evenly and efficiently. Improper primary and secondary plumbing, resulting in a radiant mix rather than proper injection of the hot supply water. Improper sizing of the air expansion tank and little or no pressure in the expansion tank. An inaccurate pressure gauge. Many older gauges are out of calibration and reading that the system has pressure when it does not. Always check with a secondary gauge to verify that the water pressure is 10 to 20 to 25 psi. Improper sizing of pumps. Plumbing that fails to isolate the radiant panel from the mechanical equipment for flushing and pressure testing. Improper venting as recommended by the manufacturer. Improper plumbing, sizing, and connection of the pressure relief valve discharge. Failure to install an approved backflow preventer. Improper choice for a boiler source. This includes that cast iron boilers and tankless water heaters should not be used for the Eichler radiant panel application. Only Energy Star approved DOE minimum 90% AFUE rated boilers are to be installed in California. Improper or no seismic securing of the boiler, safety, and support equipment. Insufficient labeling of all important valving and no emergency shutdown procedure for the homeowner affixed to the boiler. No electrical disconnect for the boiler appliance. This can be a dedicated fuse switch or a plug-in pigtail as required by local cities. No building permit and inspection by the agency having jurisdiction. Failure to check the manufacturer's proper boiler combustion settings after startup with a combustion gas analyzer. Failure to balance the manifolds for even flow and temperature and the observing of all the floors and the manifolds with a thermal imaging camera to ensure all areas are heating equally. Failure to perform a hydrostatic pressure test of the concealed radiant panel prior to the installation and startup of the boiler equipment and replacement of defective support equipment. Installing the equipment in a leaking radiant panel usually voids all manufacturer warranties. Failure to neatly insulate all exposed piping as required by the codes and local jurisdictions. This means a minimum of 3/4 inch wall insulation, with some cities and counties requiring 1 inch. Failure to label all important valves for easy identification by the homeowner. And finally, failure to provide an adequate orientation for the owner on system operation, pressure monitoring, and other important aspects of the installation after initial startup. It is absolutely amazing to me that all the foregoing items have been and are continually being observed for many of the boiler, safety, and support equipment installations. As an Eichler homeowner, your only protection that the appliance and the parts are being installed safely and correctly is the trust of your contractor, or to have an inspection performed by the agency having jurisdiction. Please visit our website at radiantheat.net for more information. This is Lawrence Wagner, Senior Hydronics Engineer for Anderson Radiant Heating, to educate the Eichler homeowner about their heating system. We are here for you. Once again, our motto is, trust must be earned. We have earned it. Ask our customers. Thank you for your attention.